Hey everyone, I'm John. Do I look familiar? If yes, great. If not, this is a good opportunity to introduce myself. In 2004, I wanted to start my first aquarium. At first, I wanted to start a saltwater aquarium, but eventually, after some research, I got into planted aquariums and I joined some forums. From there, I was really active in the community and I even joined a few scaping contests. I even ranked 77. Life goes on and I left the hobby. I missed it, and when I did eventually get back into it, I realized that aquarium products were a lot more accessible and they were all improved. That's when I discovered Ultum Nature Systems. Now that we're getting to know each other a little better, after going to a few shows, such as Aquashella, Reefapalooza, I've come to a realization that not everybody knows Ultum Nature Systems does make a ton of products from A to Z. We have rimless aquariums, all the way down to CO2 and CO2 accessories, even plants. Now that we got intros out of the way, let's talk tanks, which is probably what Ultum Nature Systems is well known for. Did you know Ultum Nature Systems offers 30 models of rimless aquariums? They feature a 45-degree mitered edge, super high clarity glass, seamless paneling, and beveled edges. Let's talk about each category. First, let's talk about the U models. These are innovative sizes that are unique to UNS. Our most popular being the 60U. They range from the 45U all the way up to the 180U, which comes in at a staggering 156 gallons. Next, we have C models, which are cube tanks. Ranges from 1 gallon tanks all the way up to 16 gallon. Then we have the single T model, which is right here. This is a 16T, which is basically a 16C, but taller. N models are nano tanks. They're the perfect desktop tank. There's only 2 models in this category, and it ranges from 2.6 gallons to 4.9 gallons. L models are long tanks, which are pretty straightforward. S models are shallow tanks, which are basically U models cut down a little shorter. They're perfect for indoor ponds and immersed plant growth. And finally, we have the A models. We've taken 3 of our most popular UNS tanks and added a filtration chamber to the back. Now that we've talked about tanks, you're going to want soil for it. Conch soil is our second most popular item. It features 2 different colors, 3 different bag sizes, and 3 different granule sizes. Conch soil's proprietary blend is perfect for aquatic plant growth and tropical fish keeping. This is a 3-liter, but a 10-liter bag is perfect for a 60U. The normal granule size is great for growing plants like Echinodoris, crypts, and Balasinaria, while the extra fine size is great for foreground plants that have smaller root systems. The Delta filters are another worthy mention. The line ranges from a small surface skimmer, the Delta Mini, 2 compact canister filters, the Delta 60 and the Delta 30, and the more powerful workhorses, the Delta 90 and the Delta 120. All the UNS products that I just talked about barely scratch the surface. Ultum Nature Systems offers an extensive line of products for freshwater aquariums, planted aquariums, and it includes aquarium tank stands, CO2 regulators, LED lighting, and hundreds of aquatic plants. We'll be covering all of that in future videos, but for now, let's talk about what you'll be getting into. So what can you expect from this channel? We've got big plans and creative ideas. We'll be splitting this channel into 4 different segments in which we hope to educate and entertain. The first segment will be Get Schooled. This is an introduction to the full UNS system. We'll take you back to the basics to show you how to maintain a planted aquarium, tackle algae problems, and even troubleshoot. Next, we have 60U and me. We'll be starting a 60U aquarium together the Ultum way. I'll take you from start to finish and we'll be maintaining this tank together. Then we have On the Road, which we'll be visiting local fish stores and going to shows together. If you like vlogs, this one's for you. And finally, we have Scape Sesh. This is the one that I'm most excited about. We'll be inviting special guests and interviewing them while scaping together. It will go a little something like this. So today we have a very special guest with us. His name's John, and he's really active in the community. I've seen his 44-gallon Iwagumi tank all over the internet and Instagram. So give us a little rundown of that tank. I guess it's well known for all the rocks I've used and the big slopes. Man, these gloves are baby gloves. But anyways, when I first started that tank, I really didn't have any idea of how it was going to get started. I just knew I wanted to use rocks. I have a little collection of reusable rocks that I was using, and I started off with the biggest rock and eventually created 2 mounds and a slope, and that's about it. That's so cool, man. So can you just tell us how long you've been in the hobby? I've been in the hobby for quite a few years. I would say I got into it a lot more serious probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So tell us how many tanks you have right now, up and running. Right now, I have, man, I lost count after the 4th one. I probably have 8 to 10 tanks at home. Cool, so how about adding one more? Yeah, let's do it. So we prepared some hardscape for you based on what you like using. Do you have a plan going into this? So I'm usually a planner. Some of the tanks that I create take months to actually create. I'm always a big proponent of planning everything. That's why a lot of the tanks that finally get planted stay like that for 2-3 years even. All I know is I'm gonna make another Iwagumi type tank. So hardscape is usually the foundation of every planted aquarium. Do you usually plan it based on the plants you'll be using or the fish? Tell me a little bit about it. Yeah, hardscape is absolutely important to me. I always plan the hardscape first. I never really think about the plants or the type of fish I'm going to be using. Hardscape is very, very important. That's really cool to hear. There's so many different approaches to this hobby. What's your go-to plant? I would say my favorite plant would have to be my Chrysanthemum Monte Carlo. As you might have seen in my 44-gallon tank. I just think it's a very versatile plant. You could use it for the foreground. You can use it as an accent plant. You could basically use it in any type of scape, and it's not a very demanding plant. Yeah, that's pretty much my favorite plant, but I do like to explore other plants here and there too. I do like my Rotalas and my Ludwigias, but I guess it's my lifestyle more recently that I don't really have time to keep trimming stem plants, but that's why I've gotten more into low light plants like Java ferns, Anubias, Bucephalandras, and mosses. Yeah, Monte Carlo is a really cool plant. I really like it for its ease of growth and versatility. What would you say is your #1 tip for any aquascaper trying to start out in this hobby? I think my top tip would be don't get too mixed up in the water chemistry of it all. After all, it's not really a science project. At the end of the day, this is a fish tank, a creative fish tank. And let your creativity run wild, honestly. Yeah, that's a really good tip. Now that you mention it, I think people really focus on the water chemistry more than the creative aspect of aquascaping, and I think there's a fine balance between the two. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now. I see that you're starting your typical Iwagumi tank, which is basically a rockscape. Yeah, so I'm going with my typical Iwagumi scape. I can't really see it from the front, so I hope it really looks good. But I like to set my big main stone first. I usually find a big stone that is appropriate to size for the aquarium that I'm trying to use. In this 60U, I found a rock that was about, I don't know, maybe 18 inches or so in length. So I'm setting that in first, then I'm setting all the other small, medium rocks around it. So earlier you mentioned you had a lot of tanks. What's your typical maintenance schedule look like? Usually it's every Sunday for me. It takes me about my full morning or half the day to get through all the tanks that I have to do water changes on, do maintenance on, filter cleaning, if there are any plants that need to be trimmed, and all that. But usually my Sunday mornings are pretty booked. Wow, that sounds like a Sunday well spent. So what's your favorite fish? Tell us about your favorite fish. My favorite fish would be any type of nano schooling fish, whether it's rasboras or tetras. Angelfish also have a place. Angelfish and discus, I would say, have a special place in my heart. But yeah, I mean, any type of schooling fish I would go for. There's just something about a giant school of fish greeting you when it's feeding time. You know what? I'm not going to even use these gloves.
Sorry about that.
So based on the scape you're making right now, what plants would you use? Yeah, I mean, my suggestion would be using Monte Carlo, obviously, my favorite plant. Just in the foreground area, and then probably throwing some hairgrass in the mix. Different types of species of hairgrass will give you like different heights when they grow out. So you'll have probably the taller hairgrass here, the medium-sized hairgrass here, and it all slopes down in almost like a triangular fashion. That's kind of how I pictured this scape. So would you consider this a high-tech tank, a low-tech tank, or what type of maintenance are we looking at with this tank? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to be the one maintaining it, right? So good luck to whoever's maintaining this tank after. But I think I would first start this off with maybe a moderate setting. So what I like to do when I first start a tank is have it fully planted. I'll turn the lights down. It's not going to be set on maximum brightness, but I'll have the CO2 bumped all the way up, and I'll dose fertilizers right away. And then eventually I'll have, as the plants grow in and the plants start developing new growth, I'll bump up the lighting, and I'll also bump up the fertilizing schedule too. But I feel like my method usually tends to have less algae problems in the beginning, because that's when the tank is trying to balance itself. But yeah, that's what I would suggest. So we've mentioned before, this hobby is a creative one. Are there any current trends that you're seeing in this hobby that you might not like or might not even do yourself? That's a hard question to answer. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but I mean, my personal opinion is I don't really go for the whole bonsai tree trend because I feel like it's almost missing that creative soul. That's what's driving an aquascape. I feel like this hobby is a really creative one. So when you're giving me hardscape that's already pretty much done and I drop it, all I have to do is drop it into a tank and fill it with water. Just not really into that. I like to be very hands-on and create my scapes. But that's just me. Don't kill me in the comments though. Sorry for the loaded question. We wanted to go out with a bang, so looks like we're about wrapped up. Let us know in the comments below which tank you prefer and how would you plant the tanks. I'd like to thank our special guest John for joining us today. I just want to say thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. To the viewers, I hope you like my scape, and I'm just really excited to see how you guys plant this tank and maintain it. Do you have any wise words of wisdom before you leave? Yeah, this is pretty much wrapped up. I might just do little tweaks here and there after I see it from the front, but words of wisdom, I would say I would go back to what I was talking about earlier. Don't get too mixed up with water chemistry. Spend more time scaping, spend more time maintaining your tank. I think that's how this hobby should be. It's about enjoying whatever aquatic life you're trying to establish in this tank, rather than turning it into a science project, really. If you guys want to see John's work, links are in the description. Make sure to stay tuned till the next episode because we'll be filling his tank and planting it. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, Ultum_John, and stick with us until the next episode. Bye. Thanks again for joining us. If you guys want to see more of John's work, check out the description. Follow us on Instagram. What do people say? Like I need like an outro, right?